Excuse me. I gotta make sure everybody hears me out there. Okay, it's 6:30. Again, it's still Tuesday, April 9th, and I'll call to order our regular session of the North Liberty City Council. Tracy, could I have a roll call, please?
Leibold,
Here.
Park,
Here.
Siddig,
Here.
Smith, Wason.
Here.
Thank you. Item 3 is approval of the agenda, and there are no changes to my knowledge. Have a motion for approval, please.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's approved. Item 4 is our consent agenda. Again, nothing on here. Is there anything on here that anyone would like to take off and talk about separately? Seeing none, could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any other questions? Tracy, roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Could I have a motion? All right. Could I have all in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 is public comment. Now is time for anyone in the audience to make comment on anything that's not already on the agenda that has public comment attached to it. You're welcome to bring anything and everything to council's attention. Seeing no comment, I'll close public hearing. Item 6, Josiah, welcome. Engineers report.
Thank you. Couple updates. We'll go with construction first. We'll start with City Hall. Inside the building, they're doing commissioning of the building systems and testing and troubleshooting and things for the mechanical and the control system. They're also working on punch list items upstairs and downstairs for things that were found in the walkthroughs, list of things that needed to be addressed and touched up. Outside is where we're seeing a bunch of activity now that the spring has come. A lot of the landscaping is happening this month. You're also going to start to see, the benches and the bike racks and all those sort of site furnishings come into place. There's a little bit of paving left. There's a curb repair for the Reds parking lot that's left, pretty small. But other than that, the paving and sidewalks and everything are wrapped up. Next one would be the streets and maintenance facility. That project is making good progress. All the steel framing is up. The deck for the second floor is going to be poured this week, and also repairing the floor for all the columns and everything that were done to raise that structure. So that's still on track, well ahead of the schedule. So that one's moving well. Design phase, we've got Centennial Park. We are making the final revisions to those documents. Just as a reminder, those go out to bid later this week. And so upcoming events, we'll have a pre-bid meeting where contractors can come and ask questions and go through the project before they put their bid together. We've got a public hearing planned for our next meeting this month for that project. And then the second meeting in May is when we're looking at having those bids in front of you to review the bids and award a construction contract. No changes on construction. That'll be after Blues and Barbecue. The last project I have, North Liberty Road Trail Project. We are laying out the preliminary trail route for that right now and also looking at options for access to the dog park off that project and how to get that done and kind of what the trade-offs might be. Most of the survey work's done. You may see surveyors out there. We're just trying to nail down property lines and easements and everything. So that one's going well. And that's all the updates I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Josiah. Are there any questions? I was going to ask you how soon the 965 Rancho Way could be open at Aldi's, but I see the parking lot is getting poured. So as soon as they make their way over to Rancho Way, we'll be in business finally.
And I just got a grand opening email that Aldi be open on May 2nd.
On that note, do we know how soon it will connect to Rancho so those lanes of traffic are opened back up?
I don't know.
Okay.
If the contractor's there pouring the lot, I assume they're going to flow right out into the street connection.
That's my assumption too. Yeah. Okay. Brian, item 7, City Administrator Report.
Okay, thank you. Make you aware that at our next council meeting, we'll have representatives for the food pantry here to talk about their upcoming building project. They'll also be making a request for a contribution to that project. So I know that will be on the 423 agenda. In March, we sent out bills, new bills for our utilities. So we have the utility software switched over now, and working through a few hiccups, a few minor adjustments, and I think things went pretty well, at least from sending those out. Nick tried to stay ahead of questions with some notes on the website. So overall, I think we're at least at this point fairly satisfied with how that process went. I will note that the stormwater rates, the old stormwater rates, were still billed in March. Those updated rates will be coming out in April. And then lastly, we're planning to have an open house at the new City Hall May 14th. This would be the first council meeting in May. I plan to do it ahead of time. More details to follow, but I want to make sure you have that on your calendar. And that's what I have for you tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Ryan?
Should have asked ahead of time. What's the status of the reconciliation with Forvis?
We just got an update from them. They are mostly through May, working on now June. They had apparently had someone off or took an unexpected leave of some sort. So it's been a little bit slower, but they're tracking towards progress. I actually just got an email from them late this afternoon on a big picture update. I haven't had a chance to read it. So that update's about a week old.
As far as we know, budget remains the same for that?
I don't know that. We were a little surprised by the last bill we received. We're at about $30,000 so far. You might remember they said 35 to 40,000. So my inquiry to them, which is probably sitting in here, was, what's that look like for the remainder? So I'll be sure to provide an update as soon as I know.
Great question, Eric. Thank you. Any other questions? All right. Just one thing on my report, really on what I've been up to the last couple of weeks, is that last Thursday night I had a chance to meet with our youth council. I've done this once with them since they were first brought together, but we had a chance to meet over at the new City Hall, sit upstairs in the conference room, give them a tour of that, but really sat with them for about an hour talking about the successes that they've had, things that they felt they didn't, targets that they didn't hit, things that they'd like to do differently. There were nine of the 10 were in attendance, so they were almost all there. The juniors that are there all said without a doubt that they would be back and applying for it as well. So there's been great commitment by that group, and the report that you saw, the letter from them, shows some of the things that they've done, and it also is pretty awesome to hear the things that they anticipate doing as a result of some of these programs. So my hats off to that council, and I do hope that they are making a regular appearance at council meetings to provide some updates to us, and both either written or here in person. So that's the goal, and I encourage them to do so. Council reports. Anything from you all on what you've been doing on behalf of the city over the last couple of weeks? Yes, sir.
Saturday was a Muddy Creek cleanup. Lots of scouts and people from the Stormwater Board and city staff were there. A little more trash than there was last year. I don't know sure what that was from. It was maybe from the wind or something and stuff. But 2 years in a row, I have not fallen in. So I'm doing pretty good with that. But we appreciate. There's a lot of scouts. Even some of the smaller ones were out there, really working, picking up stuff. So, and then just an update from FEMA about the application for reimbursement from the storm. The winter storm, and they're still winding their way through that and not heard anything for a while. The county had somewhere around $1.6 million in expenses they thought they were trying to attribute to that. So we'll see where we're at some point.
Thank you. Anything else?
I can jump in just from a council perspective. Attended a business PM week and a half ago, maybe. Just wanted to say thanks to the Staybridge Suites and Greater Iowa City for hosting that. So that was a nice event down there. I did attend the groundbreaking ceremony at St. Thomas More. They've got a new expansion, so it was a tremendous event. Kelly Hayworth from City of Coralville, myself, other, plenty of parishioners, Father Chuck, just really nice event in that expansion as part of our extended community. Be good for our area as well. And then just kind of a bit of a positive focus, but just a formal recognition from a couple of city council members. I know Brent's absent today, but his birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday, Brent. Paul has decided to get married, and he will be by our next city council meeting, I think within a week and a half or so. So congratulations to you and Emily for that. And then last but not least, just again, big weekend in basketball, but did want to formally recognize the University of Iowa women's basketball team and the coaches. Just a really great example of what it's like to be an Iowan. And as a proud alumni, just really thought it was a big win for our community, no matter how they finished. So just wanted to mention those folks. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Brian.
I attended the Greater IC Coffee Connections, and Mr. Heyer did a great job updating everyone about the happenings in North Liberty. And Mr. Leibold and I finished up the Iowa League of Cities municipal leadership training. So I had some great conversations with some fellow counselors throughout Iowa. And one of the takeaways I got from that was just some scams and cyber crimes that have hit some municipalities, and just encourage us to keep our eye out for that kind of activity. And then also I gotta say big thanks to my fellow realtors at Urban Acres Real Estate for their generous donation recently to the Centennial Park. So that's always giving back to the community, which is great. That's all I got.
Thanks, Paul. All right, item 10, finally, Trip Connect presentation.
Hi, I'm Kelly Schneider. Good to see you all tonight. I am the mobility coordinator with Johnson County. I'm here to talk about Trip Connect tonight, a project that I've been working on for quite some time to increase employment transportation in Johnson County. I just spoke on this at the Joint Entities meeting, so you may have heard me talk there, and then also the MPO JC Policy Board. So if this sounds familiar, I promise I have some new information to share. But getting started on this, the work really began in 2021. I have been serving as a mobility coordinator for the county for 7 years now. So it's my role to connect people to transportation. A lot of times that looks like training people how to use the fixed route systems in Iowa City and Coralville, when to get on the bus, where to find the information, when to get off, and where they go, of course. And over time, I've collected barriers where transportation has kind of fallen short in our area. And during the pandemic, I wasn't having quite as many people call me. So I was out there looking for grants and opportunities to increase transportation. And I found the National Center for Mobility Management has design challenge grants. So I decided to apply for that, hoping to increase employment transportation. Of the barriers that I do collect, not being able to get to work because you don't have or a personal vehicle was one of the more frequent issues that would come up for me. And that's countywide, not necessarily unique to just North Liberty. So with those grants, we really took a look at how could we make things better and where are things falling short. We saw a couple of different issues. There's, areas of town like North Liberty, where for employment, you're really kind of confined to having your own personal vehicle. You've got Iowa City and Coralville operating bus service Monday through Saturday, no Sunday service. Some routes go to 5 p.m., some go to 9. So it was just kind of all over the place. To narrow things down, we kind of looked at the seats same day data, and I'll show a slide up here of the ridership that the seats program has been doing for the same day service. And we decided to start in the North Liberty and Coralville area for our pilot that I'll start talking about. We also had a meeting of all kinds of stakeholders in August. The photo that you see up here is us at the Senior Center. So we had National Center for Mobility Management staff come on and lead us through a morning together where we had different employers come to the table. We had nonprofit representatives that help people find employment. I think we had somebody from the disability community, and then also like a parole officer. So someone over here at that station in Coralville that helps people coming out of incarceration find employment. So we had a really good spread. We had a good spread of employers too. We specifically from this area, I know that we had Frontier present at the table to talk about transportation. We also had Centro, and we had a person from the University of Iowa talking about the new facility that is being very fastly created here in North Liberty. So we had a really great discussion, and what we decided is that to kind of start small and have a pilot that focuses on getting people in and out of Coralville and North Liberty. Of all of the issues, those are the areas that was small enough to kind of bite off for the price tag that we were looking at for the grant funding. So we'll get into that. So what another factor that led us into this, and I know Angie is queen at collecting data, but the county started with its COVID relief funds, a same-day service. North Liberty residents can use this service. A lot of them, as you can see, when we started looking at where people were riding for this trip, a lot of the rides were either starting or finishing at North Liberty. And for North Liberty residents specifically, we saw them using this to get to employment. So we knew that there was a demand for need in this area. So that's why we decided to focus on that. During our research phase, we also were led to the decision to operate a door-to-door service. So instead of somebody getting to the bus route at a specific time that the bus is going by, we would have a vehicle come as close to the front door of their residence and drop them off to the destination that they want to attend. So often called demand response or on demand. We're actually asking for there to be a flexibility of scheduling in advance and scheduling on need. So here's some numbers of all of the different trips that were requested in this area. Another factor that I'll talk about is also semi-relevant to you all this evening is the relocation of the Kirkwood Community College. So the red plus sign, which I'm hoping you have this in front of your computer, is where the Kirkwood Community, if not, it's off to the very southeast side of Iowa City there. That is where the former Kirkwood Community College was located, right? That location had Iowa City Transit bus running by there every 20 minutes. So it had really great frequency. It took the entire the transit study was one of the reasons they increased the frequency there, because they got so much information about ridership there. But now it's moved, and it's relocated to the green plus sign, which is not far from here in Coralville on the Oakdale Boulevard at the Kirkwood Regional Center. So all classes have relocated to there. So I closely work with English language learners, and what I've learned is there's like 200 students that want to take night classes for English language learning. So imagine being an English language learner and you have to work during the day and keep your income. And then in the evening is your opportunity to go do the free English classes. So we were seeing collecting data on that. And I talked to about 20 different students and helped them plan their trip using the CAN bus. So the yellow line or route that you see there represents the University of Iowa CAN bus Route 34. So this particular route connects to the VA loop, so in between the north side of the University Hospital and the VA hospital there on Newton Road, and then travels all the way up to this part of town to the Oakdale campus, just before the Forever Green border. What we were seeing is it was taking students 3 buses to make that trip. So we just wanted to have a more effective way to serve them. 3 buses is a lot. 2 is a lot, but 3 is just definitely too many. So we wanted an opportunity to look at that. So what we did is we looked at some different funding opportunities, which I'll kind of explain here. But we really wanted to provide options for employers for getting their employees to work. And we wanted to focus at times that the buses weren't running. So if we go back to these green dots on this slide here, the SEATS ARPA service is running 7:30 to 4:30. So if you're working before that or after that, you're left with private pay options. And during our research, we found that although there are several private pay options, they're either not affordable or not available. We would sit down and hear stories from people that would try to book an Uber or yellow cab on a Sunday morning to get to their 7 a.m. shift, and they're just not running at that time of the day or day of the week. So our focus was, again, to kind of create this as a wraparound service for the existing services. So here in North Liberty, you guys have the North Liberty Transit Assistance Program that's running during the daytime, getting people to essential services. Unfortunately, it's not extended for employment. So we really see this kind of wrapping around for people that need that. And additionally, the employers that we spoke with up in North Liberty, the shifts that they have open are not the first shifts, right? Those are the second and third shifts that are a little bit more tricky to fill for them. If you have a personal vehicle and you get your foot in the door with the industry, eventually you can hopefully move to first shift, but then that leaves those second and third shifts open. Oh, thank you. Okay, so this is going to be our service area here. So again, we will be providing service to any county resident. So you don't necessarily have to be from Coralville or from North Liberty, but the trips either need to start or finish in one of those 2 cities. So you can be an Iowa City resident, Solon, Tiffin, anywhere within the county. We also found that when we were doing this research, we were hoping that an existing public transit provider would be able to expand and take on this project. And what we found is they are stressed to the max with staffing shortages. So I don't know how closely you follow Iowa City Transit, but they just announced this week, I believe, that they're going to be doing some reductions to their routes because they just don't have the staff to operate as often as they'd like to. So we quickly said, okay, how can we outsource this, similar to how the North Liberty TAP program is contracted out to a provider that really operates the service head to toe. And we're taking that to another level and really asking them to manage the marketing and get involved with outreach and aspects like that. Hiring all the drivers, we just want to be the third part, or the person that is saying, okay, here's our service, please come operate this safely and efficiently. Okay, so where we're at now, and this is the new information, is all the funding that we got. Let me just jump to that here. All the funding that we've asked for, we have received. So we are able to put out this service. We are looking at operating around $350,000 each year. With the service tentatively starting, and I'll back up a little bit, but we're running potentially a couple weeks to a month behind. And then once we get to the point of finding an operator, if the contract negotiations take longer, the August start date may be bumped back, but our goal is to get this service out August 2024 and run that through May of 2026. So the biggest amount of funding that we applied for was the Iowa DOT Special Projects Funds. So we were awarded the entire amount of that ask that we applied for. So we're really excited to see that. We also, because of the original design challenge that we went through in 2021, we were up for the $75,000 with National Center for Mobility Management. You see North Liberty shout out here for the $15,000. We're very appreciative of that. Kirkwood, again, will be serving their night students. They contributed $10,000. Our expectation for passenger revenue is about $14,500. And then the county is allocating some of their ARPA funds to this service as well to fulfill the rest of the local match. So that is our year one. Year two is just a little bit different. You'll see more ARPA funds from the county there. Just keep in mind that this is all hypothetical, as we are currently have an RFQ open looking for transportation providers to respond and explain how they operate their business. This is a new adventure for the county to outsource transportation service, right? We have Johnson County Seats who does rural service. They do paratransit service. They're in the same situation where with Iowa City going fare free, they have a massive increase in ridership for paratransit riders. So they can't expand. So this is a really new initiative for us at the county to find a third party to operate a transportation service for us. Because of that, we are going through the RFQ process currently. That will close next week on the 19th. So essentially that RFP is asking anybody that's a transportation provider to respond and say, this is how we operate our business and how we potentially be able to meet your service needs. There is a variety of medical transportation providers in our region, not necessarily solely based in Iowa City, but we see people come from Waterloo or Cedar Rapids or other surrounding areas bringing patients in to the University of Iowa for care. And we know that they are actively looking for business, and we wanted to see if that would be a good fit for operating a public transit service that would be open to the public. So that's where we're at currently. We're hoping that we can just get that information from the RFQ and jump right into the RFP and start looking for the actual bids on the price of the service. Once those bids come in, we'll have more information on what it will cost the operators to operate, right? So you'll see up here, we have our desired start and finish times. These are built around, again, the very early morning shift, and then from 5:30 to 11:30, so the evening service in there. The 10 to 11:30 on Sunday was a new one for us to learn, because when we talked to Frontier and Centro, what some of us may think of as our Monday morning at 9 a.m., if you're working a third shift, you're actually starting on Sunday night around 10:30. So that's why we wanted to be able to get people into work for their start of the week if they work third shift. The cost per rider will be $2 each direction. We are encouraging employers at pilot level to get involved by buying passes for their staff. So if, for example, we may come into conversation with an employer that wants to offer any of their new hires 30 days worth of tickets to get fare free back and forth using our service. So we're hoping that our provider will have a dynamic bookkeeping system and payment system to allow that to happen. So we've had these conversations with retail and food industries. So hotels, motels, restaurants, fast food. What they're sharing, their biggest need is Sundays. And that is because if you think of the Coral Ridge Mall, they have a Coralville Transit bus going there for at least 12 hours out of the day on Saturday, but then there's absolutely nothing on Sunday. So we heard loud and clear from those industries that they really would like to see a Sunday service. So when we get to the point of the RFQ, we will be asking for the price tag on what it costs to operate that. So if we want to have conversations about, okay, we're really getting a lot of demand for this, we at least have a goal to work with of what it would look like to achieve that. Or if our bids come hypothetically way under what we're proposing it will cost, we may be able to offer some service during that time. So so the hours that you see here are our baseline, but they are subject to change as we go through the rest of the planning process. Okay, I'm going to go back to just budget and ask if you guys have any questions.
Can you remind me what the NCMM stands for?
Yes. So that is the National Center for Mobility Management. So they are under an umbrella of the Federal Transit Administration, so FTA, and then Community Transportation Association of America. Yes. So they oversee positions such as mine and offer trainings for that. Yes. Great question. Anything else?
So Kelly, you said that the Sunday services are kind of limited right now. There's a need for them, but you're going to hold off on expanding that until maybe we see what the costs are.
Absolutely.
That's
yes,
the first
we
place
are
to fill in right there.
definitely hoping to get the price tag on it so we could potentially come back to our stakeholders and have that discussion.
What was the response for Saturday services?
So I feel like I will say when we're having these conversations, the businesses that were most vocal about that were located in Coralville, and they have a Saturday service. So if I was to talk to businesses, hotels, food, restaurants in this area, they may say Saturday is popular. Target is standing out in my head, and the representative that came from Target, I specifically remember him saying, Sunday is the second biggest day in retail to Saturday. So for the Target location at the Coral Ridge Mall, they have Saturday service 7 to 7. But what would retail and food industries in North Liberty say? That'd be a really great question. Our work is not finished with doing outreach. I should say that. I'm very closely working with Iowa Workforce Development. They have a business consultant that's been talking to businesses in this area, as well as Greater Iowa City Inc. So they have some staff kind of aiding with the outreach as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Great question. So we will definitely keep you guys posted as things evolve, but we are excited to test what the demand is for service in this area. I know you have a variety of options between the North Liberty Cab program. You have the fixed route with Coralville, and then the Seats ARPA service. We'll see how this kind of fits into it and see if there is a demand for getting people city to city. When we sat down alongside job seekers, they just looking for employment in North Liberty was never an option for them if they didn't have a personal vehicle. So we're really hoping that the Trip Connect program will bridge that gap for them.
And I guess on that point, I feel to ask this question. There are qualifications for riding on seats. I mean, it's not just income based. I don't believe, or is income based enough?
Are you talking about the CAB program or the?
No, I'm talking well, I don't know what I'm asking, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Using acronyms. So
it's okay.
What do you need to have or show to be able to qualify to ride a seat
So
bus?
for our program, for this pilot, we will not be asking people's income. It will be $2 fare for everyone.
So that's what I'm getting at. So in order to qualify for seat service right now, you need income and also some.
So it
other
depends on which
disabilities?
service you're talking
Okay.
about. So for seats paratransit is specific to the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that's going to be based on you as a person individually, and if you can board, ride, or get to the fixed route buses. So that could be based on physical, mental, cognitive disabilities. And that service for you guys is based on what your Coralville Transit service operates, which is the one time in the morning and the one time in the evening. So as a Seats paratransit rider from North Liberty, you can use the service at 7, 11, and 4. So that's it. no other times. And that's just what they've created based on, that's driven by the Americans with Disabilities Act. And because what that law says is when you're offering fixed route service, you must offer paratransit service at those same times. Because the fixed routes only offer twice a day, their seats is only out here 3 times a day.
I guess what I'm getting at then is that this service that you're proposing, which would pick up anyone, isn't necessarily filling a gap that doesn't exist with seats. Seats riders have that option.
Not necessarily.
I guess I'm not saying this right. I might actually just let this sit quiet for a moment.
Yes, and I completely respect that. I'm happy to follow up with this, but with a seats paratransit rider, if they were seeking employment in the evening, absolutely they would be able to use this. We do have in our RFQ that there's an expectation to have an accessible vehicle on hand at all times. For the people that are using this program, right? So the ARPA program, that's the COVID relief fund. So this minivan that you see, there's no income requirement for that. You don't have to have a disability. You just need to be a North Liberty resident. What's limited is that's one van and one driver. So it's first come, first serve. So it's been a little bit of a tricky model for people seeking employment, because if that driver's booked up, you're going to have a plan B for getting to work.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But what kind of led us to this pilot is we saw that during the daytime, there was a high demand for rides, either starting or finishing in this area. So that's why we wanted to kind of imagine, okay, if we open up this opportunity to more people, how many people are traveling in the evening? And is it worth having this service be more long-term? And should we communicate or collaborate with the city of Iowa City and the city of Coralville so that people can ride anywhere within the metro area? So that's really the path that we're looking at. Yes. Thank you all.
Thanks, Kelly. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Angela, anything else to add to this?
No.
Well done.
I've been working on some data that I'll be updating on the webpage, on the transit webpage. It'll be at the bottom where all the transit data is. So.
Awesome. Anything else? All right. Thank you both. Moving on to item 11, then this is our parking restrictions. Item A is resolution number 2024-35. And this is a resolution approving parking control devices in the city of North Liberty, Iowa. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions about this, or would a little bit of I'm going to have staff give us a quick update. Any questions? All right.
Just real briefly, we've had a number of phone calls since we implemented on-street parking on Community Drive and Liberty Way. We feel it's a safe situation. There's adequate space to allow on-street parking and two-way lane traffic. I think it was a little bit of a surprise for people. It does force people to slow down, which we're looking for. In the spirit of compromise, and I think City Administrator Heyer and myself were on Community Drive last week together, and somebody chose to park just right north of the driveway entrance into that shopping plaza, where it was just not a great place to park, and sometimes common sense would prevail here. But and a person would happen to be pulling out and was inching forward and having to look, and it did strike us as an unsafe situation. And so sometimes you don't want to just stand back and wait for an accident to happen and then react. I think we'd rather be proactive. And so what we do try to do as a balanced approach is from the first driveway to Penn Street, restrict parking in that location and then allow it in thereafter. So we did reach out to the businesses. They were supportive of this balanced approach. You see a number of other streets on the list as well, and we're just catching up with subdivisions that have been approved. Signs are already up, so there was no need to notify public in those cases. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks for that clarification. They're already in place, and this is just putting it down on paper.
That's right.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Russ on this? All right, Tracy, can I have roll call, please?
Sittig,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 12 is the FY25 budget, and item A is resolution number 2024-36. And this is a resolution setting time and place for a public hearing for the purpose of considering the fiscal year 2024-25 budget. Could I have a motion for consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions about this? Tracy, roll call, please.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Sittig.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 13 is the easement agreement, or an easement agreement. Item A is resolution number 2024-37, and this is a resolution approving the perpetual sanitary sewer easement and temporary construction easement agreement between the City of Coralville and the City of North Liberty. Could I have a motion for consideration?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. There was a great memo in our packet, but I'm hoping that Ryan could paint a little bit of the picture for us here.
Sure. This easement is really a much kind of a small piece of a much larger project. And when we constructed what we call the East Trunk Sewer that serves Liberty High and all the related residential out there, we partnered with the City of Coralville at that time. Coralville paid for a big chunk of the sewer that went in out there, about $1 million worth. In return, then they get access to use to connect into that sewer. And so there's about 400 acres, approximately 400 acres in Coralville that will drain into North Liberty's sewer basin or ultimately the sewer plant. So they helped pay for the initial installation of the sewer, and then we allowed them to have the service. In exchange for the service itself, we then are going to be dumping 400 acres worth of sewer into Coralville's system, a little further west into town, over kind of in the Fox Valley area, the University Hospital, a little further north. And so basically, we're just trading basins here. We're both able to eliminate a lift station, which you've heard us speak over the years on lift stations and what a pain they can be. So it's really a win-win, saving some money, less of an environmental impact from a construction standpoint. Neither of us have it, or both of us having to worry about one less lift station. This small little easement allows them access on our side, and later this year, you'll see probably a similar easement, although I would defer that to Grant. But and we will eventually connect to that. We'll decommission our lift station and connect into that. Probably, hopefully, before year end, we'll be doing that.
Thank you very much. Any other questions here? All right, Tracy, could I have roll call, please?
Wason,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Sittig.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. Item 14 is West Penn Street project, and this is resolution number 2024-38, a resolution approving permanent right-of-way easement and temporary construction easement agreements between EC Farm LLC, James Avenue Sod Farm LLC, and the City of North Liberty. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions on this one? Comments? Tracy,
Last one, right?
I promise this is the last one.
I thought you said this.
I
once.
did say it, and I thank you, Mr. Sittig, for
Thanks, Eric. Tracy, you got a roll call, please.
Sittig,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 15 is IMWCA, and this is resolution number 2024-39, a resolution authorizing the city to apply for membership in the Iowa Municipalities Workers' Compensation Association, IMWCA. Could I have a motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any, again, great comments in your report, Ryan? Are there any questions?
I just wish the people who were here talking about the budget could hear that we were saving, what, $80,000?
I was just thinking too.
It is an $80,000 savings, and I'll just say obviously there's two factors here. One, we're going into a pool with other municipalities, but two, and as I tried to point out in my memo, our modification factor is low. It's impressive at a 0.61. I've seen it well over 1 over the years. We really, I believe, try to focus on a safety culture, which helps drive which helps drive injuries down, ultimately driving this number down.
Yeah, I'll comment on that real quick. It doesn't just help; it does. Yeah, it's significant correlation between the efforts of all the staff and the leadership and the safety culture to drive that number down. So congratulations to you to get that number where it is, because it is a very significant number.
Speaking from experience, and you know what that number actually means.
I know what that number means, yes.
I think that's the first time I've seen you so excited, Council.
I can comment on this.
Are there any other questions?
No.
Tracy, can we have a roll call, please?
Park,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Sittig,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 16, is Fire Station number 2, land acquisition, and item A is resolution number 2024-40, a resolution for approval of purchase agreement for property required for the West Side Fire Station project. And could I have motion for consideration, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Did you want to do anything in a certain order or anything coming up here?
My only comment would be Chief Plotz has joined us in case any questions arise. We will eventually talk about kind of the staff's vision of next steps, and I apologize that memo didn't get in your packet. And while it's not necessarily relevant to tonight's discussion, it's something we'll want to visit with the group here in the near future. But we're excited to get this piece acquired and be able to continue to plan for the future.
Thank you. And again, on point, Chief is here, but we don't need to make him speak out here. These are conversations that we'll have in the future. This is just about the land purchase at this point in time. Unless you're dying to get up here to report something, get you home earlier this way. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions about the?
I think just the location is a good idea whenever, and appreciate, property owner working with us on it.
Agreed and agreed. Anything else? Tracy, could we have a roll call, please?
Park,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Sittig.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 17 is micro-mobility devices e-scooter ordinance, and item A is second consideration of ordinance 2024-02. And this is an ordinance amending Chapter 76 of the North Liberty Code of Ordinances concerning the operation of electric personal assistive and micro-mobility devices. Could I have a motion for the second consideration?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thanks, Chief. I think our amendment got in there. Language look okay to you guys?
To incorporate so there's Councilor Weston's suggested languages in there, and to put this in there, you would want to, someone would need to make a motion to amend the ordinance as shown in the packet. That'll do the trick. And then second, and a roll call to amend it, and then kind of like closing it back up, then a vote on the amended ordinance, if you want to include that this time.
Thank you.
So you need a motion.
simple.
You need a motion to update the language as represented in the packet.
And even so moved would probably do it
So
at this
moved.
point. There you go.
I was going to say that was awesome. Okay. Need a second.
And second.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Are there any questions? That language suffice in there? Okay, so we'll take roll call on the amendment of the language as Brian has proposed first.
Sittig,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Park,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Carries. And now we close this up with roll call on ordinance number 2024-02.
Park,
Aye.
Leibold,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Sittig.
Aye.
Getting a Almost a round of applause from the city attorney. That was awesome.
I'll do it.
Perfect. All right. Item 18 is old business. Anything out there? Item 19 is new business. 20 is a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.